In this video, we'll continue our discussion of the sum and difference formulas. We're going to do another example. So given sine, looking here at the top, given sine alpha is 3/5, so I wrote it down again here. And then they said, then the alpha, the angle is between 0 and pi over 2, so I went ahead and wrote Q1. That's in quadrant 1, and I went ahead and drew my triangle because I'm going to need it. Okay, notice in the second one it says cosine of beta is -5/13, I wrote that down. And then they said the angle beta is between pi and 3 pi over 2. Well, that tells me quadrant 3. So I drew my pictures, and what I'm going to do now is fill in my triangles for these. I have an alpha, I have a beta, and they gave me values given the sine and the cosine there. So the sine is, remember, sum old hippie, so that's opposite over adjacent. That's 3/5. And we could use Pythagorean theorem if you can't see it, but I think we're getting pretty used to these 3, 4, 5 triangles. I also have the cosine over there. Cosine, remember, is cot, another hippie, so this is -5 in the x and 13 in my hypotenuse. You could do the Pythagorean theorem. This is another triple. It's a 5, 12, 13. It always will be that way, and since it's going down, it is negative. So now I'm going to use these triangles to answer all 4 questions. So the first one was sine of alpha plus beta. So that, if I'm using my formula, that's sine of alpha, cosine of beta. Sine uses the same sign. And then I get sine of beta, cosine of alpha. It's just each one. So I use the triangle now. My alpha triangle is over, alpha's here, beta's here. Right, you can see them in the triangles. Sine of alpha, okay, we already actually have that. That was 3/5. They gave that to me. Cosine of beta, that's this triangle here. So cosine, we already have that too. They gave me -5/13. And then now the second part, we'll use the triangles. We don't have those given. Sine of beta would be this triangle here. Sine is the y, -12/13. Cosine of alpha, which is the triangle over here. Cosine is cot, another hippie, so we take adjacent over hypotenuse, which is going to be 4/5. So we drew our triangles given the information we had and the Pythagorean theorems, and then we just plugged them in. Okay, this becomes -15. 5 times 13 is 50, plus 15 is 65. And then plus -12 times 4 is 48. I'm not going to reduce anything because I'm going to add them first. Okay, so if I add those together, what is that? -58 and -63/65. And we're done. What's great about these triangles is now we can do 1 through 4 just pretty quickly. We just have to follow our formulas. So cosine of alpha plus beta. Okay, remember cosine is opposite signs, and then it uses the same one twice. So it's cosine alpha, cosine beta, minus sine alpha, sine beta. Right? It just uses both of them. Let's double check that. I'm having second thoughts on which one's first. Cosine does cosine first. Okay. Again, like I said, and I kind of made that clear here, I think you do not need to memorize these. I have a familiarity of them. I can write them down, I think, but every time I kind of feel like I'm unsure. So there's really no reason to memorize. You can get through all of this. You could teach it without memorizing it. All right, so I'm just filling in each thing now. Cosine of alpha, and I could grab these from the previous problem. I don't even have to go back and use the triangle again. I got 4/5 cosine of alpha. Cosine of beta is -5/13, so I'm just looking at number 1. Minus sine of alpha is 3/5, and sine of beta is -12/13. It looks like it's just going to flip some things around, probably -20/65. Minus, this is going to end up being a plus though. 3 times 12 is 36/65, which is going to give me a 16/65. So what's nice about these problems is if they give you multiple like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to do the work in the first one, and then it's really just filling in things. All right, so tangent of alpha plus beta. Okay, so this is, I'm going to write the formula out. Tangent of, I think it's alpha. Let's go, look. Tangent of, we're doing plus alpha plus tangent beta. Tangent alpha plus tangent beta. All over And it's going to be the opposite sign on the bottom, 1 minus tangent alpha tangent beta times tangent beta. And then we're going to have to figure these out, but we have the triangles above, which makes it pretty easy. All right, so tangent of alpha, my alpha triangle's on the left, that's going to be 3 over 4. Plus, tangent is of beta, the right triangle, is going to be 12. It's negative 12 over negative 5, which is going to produce a positive. And then I got 1 minus the multiplication of those two. Okay, you can use a calculator for this. I'd actually recommend doing it. So I guess we could do it by hand. Actually, I'm just going to use a calculator. So let's use this, clear this. 3 divided by 4 plus 12 divided by 5. Enter, and I'm going to push math, frac, and that's going to give me a fraction. Okay, so the top is 63 over 20. The bottom, 1 minus, I'm just going to plug it all in, 3 divided by 4 times 12 divided by 5. Going to get a fraction again from that, math frac. And I get negative 4/5 on the bottom, and then I'm just going to let the calculator do all of this. Okay, so I'm going to do 63 divided by 20. That's what we got above there. And then I'm going to divide this, and I'm just going to push answer. Hold on, let's do this. Then I'm going to divide that by my answer. I could type it in again if I wanted. Okay, then I do math frac to get back to my fraction so I can get a exact answer. So this is equal to negative 63 16ths. Use your calculator for that. Don't sit and try to do the fractions by hand. I don't think it's worth it. You could, I guess, for extra practice. But like I said, I don't really think it's going to be worth it because you guys are all headed towards using a calculator all the time. All right, let me cover this back up. Sorry for this. All right, so let's take a look at our last one. It's just the tangent, but the minus. So tangent of alpha minus beta. And this is going to be the same thing. I'm going to just copy and paste what I had above here. But we switch the signs. So duplicate. And the only thing that's going to change here is this minus becomes a plus. And then the plus above becomes a minus. So it's going to be that exact same thing again here. Oh, copied. Hold on, I did something weird. Okay, it looks like I'm just going to rewrite it. All right, so we get 3/4 minus 12/5 all over 1 plus 3/4 times 12/5. Now, be careful. I've had students do this where they just change the sign of the answer above. That may work sometimes, but it was a coincidence for them to work, for it to work anytime, really. So 3/4 minus 12 over 5. And I'm going to go ahead and change that. That is negative, come on, negative 33 over 20 divided by 1 plus 3 divided by 4 times 12 over 5. Math frac. I got 14/5. Now I do negative 33 divided by 20 divided by the answer. Math frac. And that gets me negative 33 over 56. Okay, so just be careful when you're plugging these in. The calculator is where a lot of my students will mess up because the formulas are pretty straightforward as long as you know exactly which ones to use. You're going to be giving them on the test. Here's the deal, though. The formulas mean nothing if you can't do this stuff at the beginning, right? All that is are like foundational trig stuff of drawing a triangle, knowing what sign means, knowing what the angles mean, putting them in the right quadrant, and filling in the rest of the triangle. So give it some practice. It'll take some time, but I'm sure you guys will do fine.